There is a weight you have been carrying that was never yours to hold. It sneaks into your tone when someone else is upset. It lives in the way you apologize when you have done nothing wrong. It shows up in every moment when you feel responsible for how someone else feels, even when they never felt responsible for how they made you feel. We live in a world that teaches us early to manage emotions, but what they really mean is manage the emotions of others. Keep the peace. Keep it quiet. Keep them happy. And in the process, we start to lose track of what is actually ours. We blur the line between empathy and responsibility, between kindness and control, between connection and codependency. And when that line disappears, so does our clarity, so does our voice, so does our sense of self. You are not responsible for their emotions, not the anger they project, not the disappointment they carry, not the insecurity they mask with criticism, not the chaos they bring into the room and blame you for reacting to. That is their work, that is their inner world, that is their storm, and your job is not to stand in the rain and apologize for the weather. The truth is this: you can care deeply and still not carry what does not belong to you. You can offer support without surrendering your center. You can listen without absorbing. You can be present without becoming the target. Because emotional maturity is not about taking ownership of everything. It is about knowing what is yours and what is not. It is about returning energy that was never meant to be yours. It is about saying, "I see you," without saying, "I will shrink for you." And maybe no one told you this before, so let me say it now. You do not have to shrink. You do not have to twist. You do not have to disappear so someone else can feel more comfortable. You are allowed to stay calm when others are in chaos. You are allowed to protect your peace without guilt. You are allowed to love people without letting them control your nervous system. This is not distance. This is discipline. This is not coldness. This is clarity. This is not rejection. This is respect for yourself, for your boundaries, for the version of you that refuses to keep apologizing for being steady in a storm someone else created. Emotions are data. They are not commands. They are signals, not sentences. But somewhere along the way, we began treating every emotional wave like an order. If someone is angry, we must fix it. If someone is silent, we must fill the space. If someone is disappointed, we must take the blame. We became translators of discomfort and forgot how to be guardians of our own stability. This misunderstanding starts young. We are taught that being kind means being available, that being compassionate means carrying whatever others unload, that being thoughtful means thinking for everyone else first. But that is not kindness. That is confusion. True kindness begins with clarity, and clarity comes when we understand that emotions are information, not identity. When someone expresses frustration, it is a signal that something matters to them. It is not a verdict that you failed. When someone shows sadness, it is data about where they are. It is not a demand that you carry their grief. When someone projects irritation or blame, it is a reflection of their internal imbalance. It is not proof that you are the problem. When we treat emotions as commands, we lose our center. We rush to fix, to solve, to repair something that may not even be broken. We assume responsibility not because we are at fault, but because silence feels unbearable. But what if you let the silence speak? What if you allowed the emotion to exist without making it your assignment? This is where your strength grows, in the pause, in the space between their emotion and your reaction, in the moment where you remind yourself that their fire is not your failure. You can witness the emotion without becoming it. You can acknowledge their anger without absorbing it. You can notice their disappointment without drowning in it. Your ability to pause is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the practice of holding space without losing shape. It is what separates reaction from response. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. One protects their peace. The other protects yours. And that peace you carry is not selfish. It is sacred. It is what allows you to lead intention, to speak without shouting, to stay grounded when the ground around you shakes. You do not need to collapse every time someone else leans on you too hard. You are not a rescue plan. You are not an emotional cushion. You are a person with worth, with limits, with the right to say, not mine. So the next time someone throws emotion at your feet and waits for you to clean it up, take a breath. Ask yourself if this feeling belongs to you. Ask yourself if your name is truly on the weight you are tempted to pick up. And if it is not, leave it where it lies. Because clarity is not about having the answer to everything. It is about knowing what belongs to you and what never did. Before you say a word, your body has already spoken. Long before your logic has time to respond, your nervous system has already made a choice: to fight, to freeze, to flee, or to flare. This is the space where most conversations unravel. Not in the words we speak, but in the seconds before them. Because in those seconds, we either choose our center or we hand over our control. The first breath is where everything begins. It is not just oxygen, it is strategy. It is the moment where you decide whether you will be pulled into someone else's chaos or anchored in your own calm. When emotions rise, when voices sharpen, when the energy in the room shifts, that breath becomes your first act of power. And most people skip it. They move straight from trigger to reaction, from feeling to fire, from offense to defense. And that is exactly what someone unstable is hoping for. They want the fast response, the sharp comeback, the explosion, because then they are no longer the problem. You are. Now it is about your tone, your volume, your attitude. You have become the focus, and they have become the victim. But when you take that breath, you interrupt the pattern. You signal to yourself that you are still in control, that your pace is your own, that your peace is not dependent on their behavior. That breath is a message. It says, I am here. I am grounded. I will not give you the version of me that forgets who I am. It is not weakness to pause. It is wisdom. It is strength. It is the quiet declaration that you refuse to be manipulated by someone else's instability. And yes, it will feel unnatural at first, because silence feels risky. It feels like you are not defending yourself, like you are giving up control. But the truth is, that breath is not surrender. It is separation. It is the space where you reclaim your ability to respond instead of react. You are not ignoring the tension. You are refusing to feed it. Let them wonder what your silence means. Let them sit in the space you are no longer rushing to fill. Let them taste the absence of the reaction they expected. That space is not empty. It is charged. It is full of presence, full of restraint, full of power. In that pause, you are not doing nothing. You are doing everything. You are remembering who you are. You are choosing your tone. You are calming your body. You are refusing to play a game that only has losers. And when you finally speak, your voice will carry clarity, not confusion. Authority, not apology. Boundaries, not blame. Because you did not let the chaos shape your words. You let your breath lead the way. This is how you talk to someone who wants to pull you in. You don't fight harder. You breathe deeper. You don't match their energy. You manage yours. You don't rush to defend. You stay rooted in truth. One breath can feel small. But small is not weak. Small is surgical. Small is precise. That breath is not the end. It is the beginning. The moment everything changes because you did not. There is a way to disarm chaos without becoming chaotic. It does not require louder words or stronger force. It requires sharper questions. The kind that are not meant to attack, but to reflect. The kind that do not escalate but expose. These are not questions for answers. They are mirrors. They are designed to slow the spiral, to return responsibility to where it belongs, to remind the other person that their emotions are still their own. When someone speaks with disrespect or accusation, our instinct is to explain, to defend, to justify. But there is a better move, a quieter one. You do not meet fire with fire. You hold up a mirror and let them see what they are choosing to become. A simple question, spoken calmly, can do more than a dozen counter-arguments. Question like, did you mean for that to come across as rude? How did you want me to respond to that? What was your goal with that comment? These are not sarcastic. They are sincere. They create pause. They shift the emotional weight back to its source. They make the other person think. Not always deeply, not always honestly, but enough to interrupt the pattern. Enough to take their momentum away. Because most people who project emotion are not used to accountability. They expect resistance or retreat, not clarity. And when you offer clarity, not as a weapon but as a window, you become unshakable. You stop giving them something to push against. You stop playing the role they scripted for you. You become neutral. And in that neutrality, there is power. Because when there is no fuel, the fire dies on its own. Some people will deny, some will double down, but some will adjust. Because not everyone who lashes out is trying to hurt you. Some are trying to feel heard. Some are reacting to old pain. Some have never been shown another way. You do not owe them healing, but you can offer a different rhythm, a different tone, a different mirror. These questions are not permission slips. They are boundaries in the form of curiosity. They say, I am aware, I am calm, I am not here to fight you, but I will not let you speak without seeing yourself. And that seeing is often the beginning of shifting. You are not asking to be clever. You are asking to be clear, to make the moment slower, sharper, more honest. Because in honesty, people either soften or reveal who they really are. And either way, you win. Either way, you get data. Either way, you keep your peace. So the next time someone throws blame or anger your way, remember you have more than silence. You have questions. Use them like mirrors, not to trap, not to shame, but to give people the rare chance to look at themselves through something other than emotion. That is not just communication, that is transformation. One question at a time. We often mistake silence for surrender. We think walking away means weakness, that not engaging means we lost. But true freedom is not in what you avoid. It is in what no longer controls you. And one of the most powerful things you can do in this life is stop reacting to what was never about you. There is a kind of strength that does not shout. It does not defend. It does not explain itself endlessly. It simply remains, unmoved, unshaken, unhooked. This kind of strength is not loud, but it is loud enough to be felt, especially by those who once relied on your reaction to feel in control. The truth is, most of what people throw at you is not meant for you. It is a projection of their fear, their frustration, their unmet needs. And for so long you thought your job was to absorb it, to fix it, to balance the room every time it tipped. But you are not the stabilizer for everyone else's storm. You are not the regulator of someone else's nervous system. You are responsible for your peace, not their pain. Freedom is not found in isolation. It is found in clarity. In knowing that just because someone invites you into dysfunction does not mean you have to RSVP. Just because someone presses your buttons does not mean you have to play the song. Just because someone is upset does not mean you are the villain in their story. You do not have to match the energy in the room. You can change it, with stillness, with breath, with a calm tone that says, I am not afraid of this moment, and I will not give it more than it deserves. That is not indifference. That is discipline. The discipline of choosing not to give your peace away just because someone else misplaced theirs. There is no greater power than the moment you realize you can stay soft and strong at the same time. You can stay kind without becoming compliant. You can stay open without being overrun. You can hear someone's chaos without letting it rearrange your calm. And this does not mean you never feel anger. It means you do not let anger decide who you become. It means you do not let other people's noise drown out your knowing. It means you do not keep handing the microphone to the loudest voice in the room. Because the loudest voice is not always the wisest, and the most emotional person is not always the one who should lead the moment Sometimes the most powerful presence is the one who does not react at all, the one who lets the chaos pass without becoming it. That is who you are becoming. Someone who does not need to win every exchange. Someone who does not let discomfort dictate direction. Someone who knows how to walk through tension without carrying it home. That is emotional maturity. That is clarity. That is freedom. You are not responsible for their emotions. And when you finally live like that is true, everything shifts. The conversations get simpler, the relationships get clearer, and you start to feel lighter. Not because life is easier, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours. So breathe. Walk steady. Speak less. Say only what serves peace, and let the rest fall away. Because the more you practice not reacting, the more you reclaim yourself. And that is where your real power begins. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, do not just listen. Practice it. Choose one moment today where you pause instead of react. One breath before you speak. One mirror instead of a mirror of emotion. Because clarity is not built in a single breakthrough. It is built in the daily choice to be 1% stronger than yesterday. This is what we do here. This is what daily 1% impact is all about. Not chasing perfection, but building peace, 1% at a time. So if this helped you see yourself more clearly, stay with us. There is more, and you are just getting started.